when you know a show that well, because you have to, because of the cues, do you have that thing that happens where you're having other thoughts entirely while on stage?
Yes, when you know a show that well and it's that rigid and you do it that many times, you can just lift off yourself.
Right.
And then sometimes those thoughts can become, hey, freak out now. Why not just freak out?
So tell me about the first time that happened.
The Edinburgh Fringe Festival was my opening night. I was in front of a lot of people. Performing, and 10 minutes in, just tunnel vision and shortness of breath, and I had no idea what it was. I just powered through it for 10 minutes. No one knew it was happening.
So you didn't know it was a panic attack?
I didn't know.
Even afterwards?
No, I didn't have the words for it. I didn't really have that frame of reference. Because it's also hard to really come to terms with panic attack when you're like doing something ridiculous.
Right.
You're like, I've had 10 panic attacks in my life, 9 on stage,
Oh
1 on a train between shows. So it's always been linked to this. Be Googling, I did like this, like the comical dark, like Googling between shows, like how to deal with stage fright. And people going like, don't worry, like when you get up to talk in front of your class doesn't even care that you're talking. And I'm like, nah, it doesn't apply to me.
In their underwear.
I'm going like, no, they do care. It's like 3,500 people in San Francisco and they've all paid money to see me. Like, this isn't.
And then, so what do you grasp onto when that happens?
The earth, metaphorically, the grass, and try not to fall off the earth, yeah. I would just power through it.
And you could still remember what you were supposed to do, and did you ever have a thing where you just lost your way entirely? And
Sure, yeah, sure.
So what do you do then?
You fail, and you can fall on your face, and you suck, and you feel pain, and embarrassment, and shame, and endure it. And then you go, I'm still here, maybe. Do I want to do that again? Do I want to be in the position where I want to do that again? And for me, it was no. And I stopped doing it for 2 years because of that reason.
So when you were about to go on stage, once you knew what was happening, were you like, this could be the night I have a panic attack?
Yeah, always. Every single night it was that. What happened is I had 3 panic attacks and 4 shows to start off a 60-show tour in 2 months. And that was the worst time of my life. And yeah, I would have my stage manager. He would just, before I would go on stage, he would slap me in the back. I would just ask him just to slap me in the back as hard as he could, because I was just like numb in the hands and was just, yeah, it's to come, this is like a self-pity thing, to come to terms with your anxiety on the road, you know what I mean, in front of thousands of people a night, very, very abstract. Not only that, to come to terms with it while also performing a show that is meta-criticizing yourself in real time as a performer in front of the thing. It was like, at a certain point it was just ridiculous. And this is the honest stuff I have to admit, it's like, my anxiety might have been like, literally hinging on the fact of I need a standing ovation every night. Like, and that's ridiculous. Like, it could be that. I had to look at myself and go, am I this fragile? Or not, am I this fragile? Do I require this much adoration? But for me, because it's the truth, is that it's not unique, and it's not because I'm a special little boy and I'm the most special boy that ever was, and because that's the belief that a lot of people have, and a lot of people with anxiety, I think, have. So they cling on to it and go like, actually, the reason I know, or similar. I think depression can have a similar thing to it sometimes, which is, I have this because I see the world. It is part of my depth. It is part of what makes me intelligent. And that's wrong. And that was part of the movie too, was going like, I talked about my anxiety on stage as particular to my circumstance. Going, I feel this way about my life because I'm a 23-year-old at the time, comedian with an audience having to perform my life in real time. And a bunch of 14 and 15-year-old girls came up to me afterwards and said, I feel exactly like you. And they weren't 23-year-old comedians.
They were filling a theater.
Yeah,
they were
exactly.
just going to school.
And that was a huge realization for me. So I went like, I told our story with my circumstance. Now let's tell our story with your circumstance. And I do deeply believe it's the same story. I don't believe that my anxiety is special at all.